Alright, so what I want to do with your swing is take your hands out of the... And what I mean by that is simple. When you would take the golf club away, if you watch closely, the upper arms are connected, like you got a couple gloves underneath your arms, and when he takes the club away, the trail arm doesn't really bend significantly, and he keeps the handle pointed to his left hip, his trail hip, and the club head stays outside the hands or to the left of the hands, and the face of the club pretty much matches the spine angle. That's what we would term a neutral grip. And then from there the golf club goes back with not a lot of wrist cock or hand action, and the shaft of the golf club and the lead arm, you can see how that shaft lays right on there. So that is what we're trying to do. Now in your golf swing, what I see is initiation of the swing is handsy. You go right into using your hands right there. So you break your wrist, your club gets way to the inside here, and then you're going to lift it and get it across the line. Alright, so across the line meaning the shaft's pointed over here. And I want the shaft to lay on the... So you got the trail arm, you got the lead arm. I want the shaft to lay on the lead arm. So your golf club is a little bit what we term cross the line. So that's what I'm going to address today with your swing. I'd like to get that position taken care of. Now, why is that bad? It's not really bad. There's some good players that play from there, but the problem with that is when you go way to the inside, then you lift and get the club across the line, the tendency is either hit big pushes or big hooks. And here's why. So you've got a combination of a couple things. One, I think, you know, if you look at Mahan, you two are about the same size. He's 5'11", 170. You guys are roughly the same size. I'm going to measure your wingspan relative to your height. Okay. But biomechanically, you two are pretty similar in size. Now, what you're going to see with your head position is a little troubling. I think you're moving, but we're not even going to address this today. The takeaway is all we're going to address. That's a bad takeaway. That's all hands. So we're going to keep that hands out of the takeaway, and we're going to get the shaft to point more on line or on plane. So what is an on plane swing? Okay, the definition would be if we take this shaft angle and we run it back on the backswing, his club shaft's going to be very similar in angle to the inclined plane established at address. So that's what they mean by on plane. Now, at the top, if the golf club is short of horizontal, the club shaft should be pointing slightly to the right. Well, your golf club is short of horizontal and is pointing to the left. Because you take the club too far to the inside and you lift, the club gets across the line. Now, what you're going to see here is instead of dropping the club down in plane, the club is trailing way behind you. Now watch his golf club. As it tracks down, it never drops below that plane. It comes right back to the plane. And that's why he's playing on TV and you're not. Now, what happens is you get the club way underneath the plane here. You see where the club is there? Mm-hmm. It's way underneath. So you got to use your hands a lot. And basically, if your timing's good that day, you're going to hit it pretty good. If it's not, you're not. So, you know, your posture at impact, you're dropping your head and all that, we're not even going to deal with that today. Okay. We're just going to try to get the club in a better position so you can get the club more out in front of you. So out in front of you means the hands and the shaft should return inside the cone. But in fact, the hands are outside the cone and the shaft is way to the inside of the cone. So you're just off plane, that's all. Okay. I don't think it's rocket science, otherwise I couldn't figure it out. It's not very hard to understand. If you get that club in the plane going back, you're going to get it in the plane coming down, and that's it. Okay. Now, I'm going to show you Jordan Spieth because he's 6'1", 180, similar in build, and he's the best putter on the planet, but he also does some other things. He, like all these tour players, keep the club head outside the hands. So when you practice, I want you to get that club in that position on the takeaway. Keep the handle pointed inward and get the club head outside the hands. That's number one. 2, look where his club's pointing at the top. Okay, again, it's not a coincidence that club is on plane. His shaft is basically on the same inclined plane as his trail arm, or lead arm, apologize. And then watch where the club tracks down. Okay, now that's why he's the best in the world, because he combines good mechanics and good putting. Look at his right heel. His trail heel, it's on the ground. Look at his head, it's up. He's not diving. He hasn't lost a significant amount of from the original position. His head's very still. Now those are little things that'll improve your game.